This video is the truth about alcohol and arguably the hardest decision you will ever make. So before I present your options to you, I am going to present the potential life that you could have if you commit and if you make the right decision. A life of mental clarity where you can actually hear your thoughts and think with clarity. A lean and muscular physique, not just when summer comes up, but all year round. Great energy levels throughout the day with a consistent good mood, and no more stupid hangovers or feeling groggy when you wake up. Now, if that sounds like the life you want to live, if it sounds appetizing enough, this is going to be the most important video that you watch this month. I'm going to take you through my personal journey with alcohol, the epiphanies that I had along the way, and what I would recommend you to do as a high-performing individual now. And no, I'm not going to tell you to go completely cold turkey. I'm not an addiction coach. So back when I was younger, I remember I had my first sip of alcohol when I was about 16, and I went to a house party. This was when I was in about year 10 or 11 in school, and it was fun at the time, right? You were doing something that was, well, you weren't meant to do essentially, right? I remember walking to the house party with my friends. One of my friends had this huge bottle of vodka with some like sparkles in it or something, and we were taking shots out of the lid on the way to this house party. Long story short, everyone got super drunk. We were all kids at the time, so it was crazy, and yeah, the parents weren't happy of whoever's house it was. I do remember that. Fast forward a few years, I started to drink a little bit more heavily, especially because of the fact that I went to university. If you don't already know, university culture, especially in the UK, means that most people are out drinking, especially during freshers. Freshers is pretty much the first couple months of university where people are trying to go out, meet new people, make new friends, and just grow in the new community that they find themselves in. I remember throughout this period of time, it definitely created some interesting memories with me and my friends, both good and bad. Ultimately, whilst I was confident when I was out and drinking with friends at university, when I wasn't drinking and the day after, I felt terrible. I had a lack of confidence, a lack of energy, and due to the fact that I was still going to the gym at that point, my sessions sucked. I eventually got to the point where enough was enough, but sometimes you would get peer pressured into drinking just because of the community and the people that you surround yourself with. Most people that drink, I have found, are not really confident in themselves, especially if they drink a lot. So they use alcohol as some sort of magic pill in order to have that confidence and almost fake it. I am definitely guilty of doing this, especially in my younger years. But there was a key moment in my life that made me realize I don't need to rely on alcohol. As I started to grow my career and gain fitness clients, I started to speak to them very confidently about the thing that I had a passion about without the need of any alcohol whatsoever. The more I spoke to new people, the more my confidence grew, and I ended up putting myself in situations I wouldn't have done before, potentially our social situations, and because of the fact that I'm an introvert, this was difficult to do, but I found myself growing in confidence the more I did it without the use of alcohol. Now, this is not to say that I didn't have alcohol for the rest of my life ever again. Of course, occasionally at some events, maybe Christmas, maybe New Year's, maybe on my birthday, I would celebrate and go out and have a few drinks, but I would never go too overboard. In fact, as I've gotten older, I've realized that having too much alcohol can ruin not only the next day, but also the whole week. And due to the fact that I was trying to perform at a high level and trying to be the high value person that I wanted to be and see myself as, this was very damaging, and I took a lot of setbacks. It completely ruined my workflow and sometimes affected relationships. But it was only when I started to regulate it at certain events, gatherings, ceremonies, things like this where you're celebrating and there's a reason to do it, is when I truly realized that alcohol is not something you need to do all the time. It's somewhat an enhancer to the mood that you're already experiencing. What I mean by that, if you're already confident and you truly are happy with yourself deep down, then alcohol is not going to really make too much difference to your social interaction. It might slightly enhance it, but you won't feel the need to go over the top because you're already happy in your life and you're content. As I said before, I find the people that drink alcohol the most are the people that lack social skills, the people that lack confidence, and the people that aren't really enjoying their life as much as they could be. And again, I know this because I was that guy. But to conclude this, essentially what I started to do is to only have alcohol at special events. And Long story short, when I started to do that, I realized that I don't need alcohol full stop. And me personally, I don't drink alcohol ever. And to conclude this about me now and how I handle alcohol is I will only have alcohol at certain events, special events, will enhance my mood, but not to the point where I'm gonna get absolutely blackout drunk. This means I only have alcohol about 1, 2, maybe 3 times at a push every single year. The very last time that I had alcohol, to be completely honest, is when I met up with my friends from university that I hadn't seen in 6 months. But that does say a lot about the people that you hang around with and how that can negatively influence you in terms of the person that you want to become. Let's move on to you. There are 2 options with alcohol. Option 1 is total sobriety. Some people just prefer to go fully sober because once they get a taste of it, it starts to all come back and they revert back to their old habits of overdoing it. Some studies show that younger generations are starting to drink a lot less, but many are turning to other substances like weed, for example. Full sobriety only works for certain people who are committed to having a transformation and are committed to changing their health and their life path. These often include people who are productive and are in high-stake careers. These types of people usually include people who are productive and people who are in high-stakes careers. And option 2 is controlled drinking. More importantly, the 2x2 method is where you have 2 drinks twice a week. This still gives you the social benefit of drinking without overdoing it. You'll avoid the negative impact on your physique, your mood, and your energy levels. Towards the end of my uni stint days, I started to use the 2x2 method. And as I said, I started to only have drinks at special occasions or when I was out with some friends, usually only once a week or once every 2 weeks. And this method has really helped me to thrive both socially and physically, especially when I was in my early 20s. A couple of weeks ago, I even told my client Aaron, who is a business owner specializing in boxing promotion and there's a drinking culture there, the 2x2 method existed and he should try it. And very, very soon after he tried it, he saw amazing benefits and improvements in his physique and also his focus when it came to work, so he could still enjoy his social life. So what are the consequences of overconsumption? First, let's talk about the physical effects. Drinking alcohol beyond moderation can set you back physically, impacting muscle gain, fat loss, and also energy levels. Just by taking a few extra drinks more than you should, that can negatively impact your fat loss, staying lean, and also building muscle. I have always been into fitness, even when I was in my younger years and I was drinking a lot more frequently, but I certainly noticed that my energy levels, my focus, my strength severely got impacted just by having too much drink. My fitness progress completely slowed down and it took a long time for me to get over the alcohol consumption, and I wasted months upon months of improving my physique. But it's not just the physique that gets impacted. It's also the neurotransmitters. If you have too much to drink, your neurotransmitters can leave you feeling mentally foggy for days after a heavy drinking session. Ben, one of my clients who is a software engineer, really struggled to improve and keep his peak physical performance because he overindulged in having too many drinks. But ever since he moved to the 2x2 method, this completely changed. And now he's experiencing improvement week on week. It is really crazy how just limiting things like the amount that you drink can make you improve to the level where you're seeing improvement every single week. It's also worth noting that alcohol is a depressant. This can lead to dulled emotions, mental fog, and reduced cognitive function. Have you ever experienced that time where you feel absolutely terrible when you have a hangover and you feel like you can't even function properly? This is because alcohol drags your neurotransmitters into a suboptimal state for days. This makes you less sharp, less focused, and also less driven. Most people, when they have a hangover, they find themselves binge eating, they find themselves not being able to focus on tasks that they usually could. And I'm sure if you work in corporate, you've probably seen that person that has drunk a little bit too much the day before they come back into work, and they don't look too great. In fact, they don't perform too great either. Another one of my clients, Anthony, really suffered from low mood and mental fatigue. This was all due to alcohol, but he saw a massive improvement once he started to limit the intake that he had. His mental clarity skyrocketed and his productivity levels increased like crazy. Off the back of reducing alcohol, he actually had more energy to put time into his landscaping business and scale it up. Since then, his career really took off, and he even built more confidence naturally, which allowed him to go to certain networking events, build connections, and he's actually managed to build another business in Spain. I'm very jealous of the weather over there because right now in the UK, it's about 0 degrees. Not fun. The heating in my office is on full blast. But one thing that we can learn from Anthony, and one thing that we can learn from this video, alcohol will affect your ability to become successful in life. There is always one thing that I mention to people who really struggle with alcohol. Alcohol is like trying to drive whilst you have that parking brake on. You're not going to go too far. Excessive alcohol consumption keeps people from reaching their highest and truest potential. And this is both in their careers and their personal life. And actually looking back on myself, I wish I knew about the 2x2 method a little bit earlier, especially when I just came out of university, because I still had a reminiscence of overdoing it in the alcohol department, especially because of the fact that I was trying to find my feet in the world and I didn't really know what I wanted to do in life. Alcohol just delayed my mental clarity for too long, to the point where I was going from job to job and I was lost. But then when I switched to the 2x2 method, I found myself having a lot more clarity and focused, and I started to research more on what I actually want to do. And that allowed me to actually take that first plunge and take a risk and do something I was passionate about. Off the back of eventually doing the 2x2 method, I built a hugely successful fitness business that has now reached insane heights, and I coach people all around the world, thousands every single year. But man, I really wonder where I could have been if I just integrated the 2x2 method a little bit earlier. It could have been crazy. If I didn't drift from that 2x2 system, who knows what would have been possible for me. So imagine you. If you're not already in it, join my free school community using the link below. You'll also get my sleep, energy, and testosterone optimization masterclass, and a free one-to-one transformation call with me and the team, where we will build you a customized health roadmap. What is your path to balance using the 2x2 method? There is a science behind why the 2x2 method works. You get that balance of enjoying your social life, but you also are able to not have the hangover effects and be able to carry on with your routine and your schedule without any interruptions, to make sure that you gain that momentum in order to take off in your career or just to get to that next level. You can still get that relaxation when you need it. You still get that social enjoyment so you won't miss out, and it won't impact your long-term health and fitness goals. This strategy is going to help keep your dopamine and serotonin levels high without crossing into a state of mental fog or physical recovery deficits. The key is really about alternating phases of sobriety and moderation, oscillating between periods of complete sobriety, for example 2 to 3 weeks of no drinking, and also the 2x2 approach. Doing this is going to give your liver a chance to detoxify and to ensure that alcohol doesn't negatively impact your hormone imbalance and recovery. A mix of the two is the great option for you if you're not sure what to do. I told one of my clients, Mario, to use this exact alternating system and approach, and it completely reset his system. It improved his workouts to the point where he was able to now do things like muscle ups instead of just trying to be able to do a muscle up. And also his mental clarity improved, and he became a lot more efficient in his e-commerce business. One thing that you must focus on is building your mental fortitude. As I previously explained before about spending time with certain people that can influence your decision on alcohol, drinking less alcohol can actually allow you to be more selective with your social groups and the people that you spend time with. Of course, this is going to have the positive effect of improving your overall lifestyle and getting you to that high level that you see yourself at. The mental clarity that you get from limiting your alcohol consumption allows you to actually see personal growth opportunities, and it also helps you to identify better social activities that are going to benefit you, not just socially, but maybe in terms of your career or even your relationships. Social pressure is such a real thing, and especially during my early 20s, I definitely felt the effects of that. You almost feel the need to drink because everyone else is drinking. But as soon as I took that first step to actually say no for once and leave certain social situations, if I knew that it was going to negatively impact my whole week, I would feel so much better for it. Even recently, I went out with some friends, as I told you about earlier, that I hadn't seen in 6 months. I only had 2 glasses and drinks of alcohol, and after that, I went straight home. They ended up staying out longer, and the next day, they weren't replying for a very long time and telling me how they felt. In fact, when they did come back to me, it was 2 days later, and they said they felt horrible the day after, and they're not going to do it again for another 6 months. I, on the other hand, had a very productive day. I woke up early, I got a gym session in, I felt really productive, and I still had that social benefit of being able to interact with my friends, have a great time, and go straight back to my productivity and my work, ensuring that I have the perfect balance in my lifestyle. I've done this plenty of times. That is just the most recent example, and doing this more and more is going to build that mental resilience and that fortitude to the point where you can say no in social situations because you know that it's going to benefit you in the long term and even in the short term. A lot of people might be thinking right now that it's difficult to say no in social settings, especially if your friends, your family, whoever it is, are people that drink a lot. I do remember the first time that I tried this, and this was actually when I was at university. I was sick of having bad workouts, and one time I just said to my friends, I'm not going to drink tonight. I didn't end up drinking, and unironically, I had one of the best nights I've ever had. We went to some sort of music event / festival, and I ended up really enjoying the music in a way where I probably wouldn't have as much if I was drinking, because when you're drinking, you're not really present in the way that you would be if you were sober, and you're actually fully taking in the instrumental, the people that were there, the different relationships that you can build with other people who are perhaps non-drinkers. And that's something that you don't really factor in. And you get to the point where you have a good enough time and you don't even need to drink alcohol, and you can take something away from the event or the certain situation that you're in, and you don't feel terrible at all the next day. But doing this really flipped a switch for me, and it enabled me to continue to do the same thing and just say no when I needed to. One tip that I would have as well is to say that you have a really important event if you feel socially pressured that you need to be up for tomorrow, and it's really important that you can't miss it. It could even be something as simple as you've got to take care of someone tomorrow, or you want to be able to do as much work as possible because you've only got a short window because you're busy with other things. It's very easy to tell people that you're not going to drink today. And to be honest, the only reason people would want you to drink is so that they don't feel left out. Sometimes I've even said to my friends that I'm not drinking, and they followed suit, and we've still ended up having a great time. I think you'd be very surprised on how people react when you are the first person to say, no, I'm not drinking today. Sometimes they'll change their own behaviors, and then you'll both realize, or a group of you will realize, that alcohol definitely is not needed. Of course, you might get ridiculed at first, but think about how they're going to be feeling the next day and the next week. These feelings of maybe not fitting in socially are just temporary. You don't need to be thinking about it too much. In fact, when they start drinking alcohol and you don't, they're probably not even going to remember anything that they said, right? So why should you even really care what they're going to say? All you really have to do is look at the situation that that person is in and do the opposite. Because more than likely, if they're avid alcohol drinkers, they're not going to be too successful in their career. And if they are successful in their career, it probably does not mean that they did that through hard work. Because if they did do it with hard work and utilizing the concept of self-improvement, then alcohol would definitely not be on the agenda. So just factor that in next time you're in a social setting and you're going to stand your ground and say no. As I briefly mentioned, there are so many long-term benefits of saying no to alcohol. One thing that we have to highlight is the physical benefits that you'll get. You're going to look way leaner. You're not going to be carrying any excess body fat because of the fact that a lot of alcohol has very high amounts of calories in them. And not only myself has noticed the effects that having less alcohol can have on your performance in the gym, your career, your energy levels, your overall life and your relationships, but my clients have noticed the exact same thing. They've been able to keep their abs all year round and maintain being lean. They've stayed energized and their mood has been regulated, and they recover a lot faster from workouts after cutting down the alcohol consumption. You tend to be a lot more decisive when you cut down your alcohol consumption, and it leads to better decisions, and you end up improving in your mental clarity, your cognitive function, and this translates into anything that you do in life. This can all fall under the umbrella of reducing and completely getting rid of your brain fog, which is something that I'm going to cover in a future video. So if you're interested in my thoughts on improving your brain fog or just completely getting rid of it, make sure to like the video and subscribe and comment if you do want to see that. With everything that I've shared, you now have the tools to make your own choice. You can go off on your own and try to implement some of these strategies, and you'll probably see some success. But remember that information without action means nothing. You need systems and accountability to reach your full potential. So, if you're ready to level up your health and eliminate any obstacles that might be interfering with reaching your potential, book a free transformation call today. Let's build a custom plan to reach your peak, both physically and mentally. Alcohol can either be a crutch that holds you back or something you control that lets you thrive. Whether you choose the 2x2 method or periods of full sobriety, you're taking a step towards a better, healthier, and more fulfilling life. Drop a comment below or reach out to me directly with your thoughts. And remember, you are only one decision away from living at your highest potential.